Isn't that 50% wasted? Well, they tried contacting that 50%, and guess what? There was no chance those guys would have ever rented, for whatever reason. They were just phoning out of inquiry for a mate who then, or they had their problem solved already, or whatever reason it was. But there are a lot of excuses. And basically, that receptionist would have spent a lot of time on the phone trying to sell something, and this individual did not have the propensity or the capacity to buy from them in the first place. This form told them who had the propensity to buy, because it even asked them for one of the questions with ID number. So when they got that ID number, it also asked them for legal permission to do a credit check. So they could do all the credit checks in the past. Before they even spoke to the customer, only when the lady who was responsible for phoning them, only when a form was completed, the credit check had been made, they knew they had stock, only then would the consultant pick up the phone and actually phone them. And when they phoned them, they didn't have to reintroduce themselves because the journey had already introduced them. So there was already a relationship with that person. So it's like saying, oh, hi Scott, it's Leslie here from Rentprop. Oh, hi Leslie, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Leslie's never spoken to me before. But because I've got personal emails from Leslie, the relationship was already there. Very, very important point about relationship data sale. If somebody is not prepared to give you information about themselves or their business, they are not going to spend money with you. So ask the right questions first. If they're not going to answer those questions, don't waste your time. Keep them on the journey, keep building the relationship until they trust you enough to give you the information that you want. It's like the financial services side. Nobody's going to buy life insurance from you if they're not prepared to tell you all the components required in order to have a life insurance policy. It's really that simple. A doctor's not going to prescribe you a piece of medicine if he doesn't know what's wrong with you. What we found in the past is because Majestic is quite new and that you guys are not the first, I mean, it's by no means an idea, but we don't have, it hasn't reached critical mass in the economy yet. Just by doing the very basics is so much better than what anyone else is doing that your response rates are so high. When more and more people start to use Majestic, then you're probably going to have to be a bit more creative. But for now, you guys are sitting in a good position. You might have different target markets in your particular business, and you might have people that respond in different ways. I'll quickly give you two examples. One example is Paddy needs to deal with two groups of people. She needs to deal with people that are coming to her therapy greenhouse, okay? And she deals with people that are the therapists themselves. They're two very different journeys. Okay, so there's an example of two different target markets. Another example of where you might would be the environmental consultancy that I'm involved with. What happens is somebody arrives and says, I want to deal with Midgard as an environmental consultancy, but I don't want to deal with everything because they do water and energy and passive design and landscaping and organic farming. I'm only interested in organic farming and solar power. Those are the two things. Based on what they tick the box on that form, it'll then start journeys based on those two to get more information. So you can get quite advanced. In most businesses, they don't need to go that advanced, but absolutely, Majestic can get quite complicated in that way. So you can have a whole lot of different journeys that start off in different ways depending on how different people answer different questions. Another thing about a journey is that with newsletters or your database, you generally have a subscribe and you have an unsubscribe. So you're in or you're out. That's it. With a journey, somebody can stop the journey but still be on the database. So you can, in other words, you can have multiple journeys going out. So you could be teaching people about different aspects of business. But you can say to them, if you're tired of receiving this journey about XYZ, stop this journey, but we'll continue with this journey. It's quite a powerful thing. It means you can be a little bit bolder in your writing because you don't have to, when you write, you don't have to be scared that people are going to unsubscribe. So you always ask them if they want to unsubscribe, but this ability, we call it a not interested, to stop a journey, means that you can have multiple streams going at the same time. It's quite a nice position to be in because it totally turns CRM upside down. CRM is all analytical. It's about how do we do this and how do we optimize this? Because with CRM, you're trying to say, how do I make this newsletter? And I've worked with this. I've presented internationally on these subjects about email marketing. And what email marketing is about saying, did they click, if I put this ad here, or if I put this line of text here, which one works better based on the number of click-throughs and how their conversion rates work? And they go into this huge science and the analytics behind how to make the perfect newsletter, because they want to increase the response rates from 1% to 1.1%. But when you're dealing with response rates of 20%, who cares?
Do we still need a website to all this stuff?
A website's always a good idea to have, because it's an entry portal. A basic website showing you what you do, how you operate, and then a feedback form When they fill out that form, then you go into the journey process. The website is just a funnel for you to get more leads. And the same with other marketing, your SMS marketing, your advertising, your flyers. If you carry on doing those flyers and your TV ads and your radio ads or whatever it is that you're doing, that just becomes a funnel to get people on your database so that you can start them on your journey. Guys, web is at least not even 20 to 30% of the power of the internet. I'm being nice when I say 30%. It's a lot lower than that. 70% of the internet's power lies in email. If you haven't got your email strategy sorted out, you're missing the boat. If you've only got a website, you need to get your email strategy sorted out. That's where the power is. And that's all every internet marketer who's been around for a long time will tell you that. Email is where the power is. And recently now search engine optimization, which is also powerful. But what you'll do is you'll just basically put a Majestic form into your website. So when they fill out their name, email address, and cell phone number, then they push submit. That's a Majestic form. They push submit, it automatically goes into Majestic, kickstarts. I just want to talk a little bit about the forms now and the data component. Building a database, and you mentioned earlier, we don't have time to build relationships, we don't have time to do this, and hopefully I'm convincing you that you should be spending as much time and effort as possible on your relationships, because that's what business is about. But this whole data game, no one really wants to get into it. Now I must get information from people, and how do I sort it and manage it? Well, the whole point of designing this is to be completely automated. When you have designed your form, and you've got the questions you want asked, the system goes out and communicates to all the different people you're communicating to your circle, to your community, and in return, they start giving you information back. But they don't hit reply and give it to you in an email. They visit a form, which is in Majestic, and they fill out this online. As soon as they put submit, this adds to your database. What that means practically, I meet somebody off the street, I put John Smith, and I put John Smith's email address in, I push starts him on the journey. What happens is I'm going to send out these emails to John Smith. John isn't going to get an email, he's going to visit my form, and he's going to go in and say, well, you've already got my first name, my surname, and email address, but I'm going to fill out myself, my cell phone number, questions about my business, I'm going to fill that out. So the customer is actually filling out all the data themselves. You don't have to do it. Now that is a complete mind shift, paradigm shift, because traditional CRM says that the sales reps or the business owner must capture all that information. Am I right? You've been through that before. And what happens, especially if you've been a sales rep before using CRM, you've now got to put all this person's name, when you made the phone call, whether they like golf or not, are they male and female, what the age, when their anniversary is, all that kind of stuff. But guys, if the relationship is strong enough, they will give you that information themselves. The stronger the relationship, the more information they'll give you. So the best customer data that you can possibly gather is information that the customer has given you themselves. So what you've got here is you've got a system that's going out, emailing, SMSing, faxing, blah, blah, blah. What's coming back is information. Your database is growing and you're not lifting a finger. It's updating itself all the time. Somebody changes their cell phone number, they update their cell phone number. Somebody changes their email address, they update it themselves. You're constantly going out and building your database. And then what you do is, like a doctor, you look at those forms and you diagnose specifically what it is within the questions that they've answered, what can you sell them? And that's where the sell comes in. And we talk about the sales funnel, which we'll talk about just now. So what I'd like you to all do now is I just want you to take 5 minutes. And I'd like you to all write down the 5 most important questions that you would love to know about a prospect before you do business with him. What are the 5 things that you'd love to know? So don't worry about name, email address, and cell phone number. Just assume that's included anyway. 5 questions. So before you pick up the phone, or before you have a one-on-one appointment, or before you meet with somebody, what are the 5 questions you'd love to know about them and their business before you actually waste time with them? Remember, you're doing this because you want to get a meeting at the end of the day, or you want to be able to phone them and know that you're dealing with a qualified lead. And it's just really to pre-qualify them. And then, yeah, the rest is history. I mean, the goal behind Majestic is build a journey that gives you forms. Because those forms are what are going to build your business. Yeah. You can actually, within Majestic, you can have multiple, like if you've got multiple sales reps or more than one person working at your business, different people can log in. And even if you've got multiple sales reps, each sales rep can have their own little database, and they can't see anyone else's database, but their sales administrator can. You can really get complicated, which is not the purpose of today, because most of you don't have that problem. But we've implemented for larger organizations where we basically run their whole CRM back end. But yeah, it can be done. The beauty is if you've got 2 or 3 sales reps, if you're working with, got a relationship with some of your clients, like maybe Kevin, you've got your database, if you've got a strong relationship with, Mel, you've got your database, but you want to send one email to your whole database. That email, when it goes out, can actually split. So that same email goes out, but when it comes from you to your database, it comes from you. When it goes to Kevin's, it comes from Kevin. That way the response rates will be higher. Because if Kevin sends an email to your database, the response rates will be lower than if you send it to you, because you've got the relationship. So yeah, you can play around with that. But again, you rather just, you can keep it simple for now.